What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at the 2023 Kia Niro EV Wave. This car is $47,500, finished in snow white. We're going to take a look at this nice new crossover EV car. Underneath the hood of the 2023 Kia Niro EV, you're going to find a 64.8 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery. It features a 150 kilowatt hour motor pumping out 201 horsepower with 188 pound-feet of torque. It is front-wheel drive, curb weight is around 3,800 pounds, and it can do 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds. And you can also expect a 250-mile range. If you do the AC normal charging on 120 volts, you're looking at a 2.5-day charge time. However, if you do the DC fast charge from 10% to 80%, it should only take 43 minutes to charge it up. Overall length is 171 inches with wheelbase at 107.1. Height is 61.8 with width at 71.9 inches, and then ground clearance is 5.9 inches. And then now moving on to the exterior styling with the 2023 Niro EV. This is a pretty good looking crossover with a lot of sharp lines. You can see these LED headlights up front with a blacked out design for the housing, and you get a really cool DRL with a lot of sharp angles. There's a gloss black trim piece up above with a really cool gray color integrated into it, and then right in the center, if you tap the corner, this is your actual charge port. So it'll open up, then you can just open it like a normal gas cap would be. And then inside here, you can see the charge indication, and then you can pop these open for your different type of plugs. So pretty convenient being right in the front of the bumper, so it doesn't matter which side of the charge station you're gonna fill up on. You can see that new Kia logo as well, a lot of body color throughout the front bumper, and some nice silver trim wrapping around. You get all of your parking sensors, a silver front splitter, and then a massive piece of gloss black in the center with a really cool dimension to it. There is a cooling grill back here to allow cooling to that radiator, just to keep the electronics nice. And overall it has a pretty cool looking front end design. There is a subtle line in the center of the hood just to add a little bit more style to it, and it comes together really well. And then as we make our way to the side profile, that silver portion in the front wraps its way all the way around the front fenders, giving it a pretty unique design. You can see these 17-inch wheels finished off in two-tone. You got gloss black and diamond cut silver, and then that silver trim piece makes its way all the way through the door panel just to give this a very unique style. We have a very clean side profile with just one prominent sharp line going through the side. You can also see the body color in silver on the door handles. Then you can see body color for the mirror caps. They have a nice C-shaped design for the integrated turn signal along with gloss black beneath that. And then we get silver and gloss black running across all these windows just to blend the glass. You can see more of this gloss black for the roof rails and then a sunroof up top. And I really like this side blade, kind of that same C shape wrapping around the rear end just to give it a more unique design. Has a pretty cool style overall, and the proportions are pretty good for a smaller size crossover. Doesn't feel too small, doesn't feel too big, pretty good sized vehicle. You get these massive C-shaped taillights that kind of match what we just saw on the side mirrors, all LED integrated into the bodywork, and a nice spoiler with a massive third brake light integrated. You can see more of the body color with some trim, the new Kia logo, and then all of your parking sensors down below. You can also see how more of that silver trim makes its way into the rear bumper, with more lights down below, with more of those cool angles. You can see a massive piece of silver along with gloss black in this lower diffuser with more silver underneath that. I think overall, this Niro EV comes together to look like a pretty modern looking, smaller size crossover. And then moving to the key fob, you can see your lock button up above with all of your typical buttons underneath that. And then we do get remote start. If I go ahead and lock it and hold down that start button, the vehicle is going to turn on. You can see those lights indicating that the car is turning on. And then we can just tap one of these buttons, holding the forward one down. The car is going to start automatically driving forwards. So if you park this in a space where you need to automatically get the car out, you can easily just hold the button and drive the car. Taking my finger off the button and holding the back one, the car should now start going in reverse. Very cool feature to see, especially if just getting out of your driveway or just easily moving the car, you can drive it using that key fob. And then just going ahead and holding that button again, it's going to turn off. And then keeping the key fob in my pocket, all I have to do is grab the door handle. It's going to automatically unlock, and we can check out this interior. You're going to see a pretty cool two-tone interior with a synthetic leather material covering nearly everything. If we take a look at the door panel finished in the black along with the light gray, you get this soft touch plastic material up above along with an aluminum color release handle, 2 settings for memory seating, and then all of your lock, unlock, window controls, and mirror controls. You get a pretty good sized grab handle as well as some padding for the armrest, and then a lot of storage down below with your Harman Kardon audio system. We have a huge piece of piano black along the door, and then a nice silver trim piece down below that. We also get all of your power controls on the left side of the seats, and then you can see the black synthetic leather material, and then a really nice gray color with perforations. You can see the perforations all throughout the centers, and it has a really cool color. It kind of looks like fabric, however it of course is this vinyl material. Get black on the headrest, then a 2-spoke steering wheel with Kia right in the center. And then now inside the Niro EV, keeping my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and turn everything on. The 2 10.2-inch screens are going to turn on, and the car is ready to drive. You can see an analog speedometer on the left side, then we get a power and charge meter to the right with your regenerative braking, and then down below that you can see a few more vitals. Taking a look at the steering wheel now, we have controls on the left side right here to control the screen. If I just scroll up and down right now, you can see more items that are going to come up within the vehicle, and then just toggling that pages icon, you can see navigation. You also get tire pressure indication, and then going down to a few safety settings, and then more drive information back to that main screen. You can see controls on the right side for Bluetooth and audio. Then you do get all your cruise control settings on the left with your forward pacing along with lane keeping and steering. Down below we have our drive mode toggle. You can go into your 3 different modes. You have the Sport, Eco, and a Normal. And then on the backs of the steering wheel we have these paddle shifters that actually adjust the regenerative braking. You can see where it says Max and Auto. You can basically adjust that with how much it's going to pull the car back when you take your foot off the accelerator. You can see the stalk on the right side for windshield wipers, and then turn signals on the left with all of your headlight controls. To the left of the actual steering wheel, we have the remote liftgate, along with the interior dimming and traction control. We have one of the air vents, and a plastic material wrapping across the entire dashboard with more of this gloss black. This section right in here will actually change colors depending on the drive mode you're in, so you can see how it's now red with Sport mode, and then it'll tone down in Eco as well as Normal. So pretty neat to see that little touch. And then moving to the center, we get the infotainment. Pretty typical as you would expect on any Kia. We have your navigation system. We have the full EV mode right now you can go into and see a few different items. We have climate settings that are going to come up as well. So it's really easy to adjust where all the air is going and things like that. We can continue over. We have a few more things. You are going to get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Then if I go ahead and put us into reverse, the backup camera is going to pop up on the left with parking sensors to the right. And then you can configure this and you have 2 different small views. Then just going ahead and pressing the P, we're back into park. Underneath the screen you can see your hazards along with 2 different air vents. And then this screen right down here is actually configurable. You just toggle between these 2 buttons. You can see all of your shortcuts for map, navigation, radio, and media. And then if you just toggle it back, we're now into our climate controls. So you can see your dual zone temperature, your fan speed, and you simply just tap on the screen to make any adjustments. When making an adjustment, it all comes up on the screen as well. Then you have a few more controls on the left side. Down below, you can see all sorts of different plugs and auxiliaries, along with your wireless phone charging. We have the start button, heated and ventilated seating, along with a heated steering wheel. Get the auto hold, your camera shortcut, and then more of this piano black. We get an electronic parking brake, then your 2 cup holders down below, which have a pretty cool feature to accommodate larger size bottles. So you can just press that button, and these will spin outwards to tighten up. You can also see more of this vinyl material for the armrest, and when you open that up, you got quite a lot of storage space in back, and it opens up the area underneath. And then moving to the glove box, if we just press that button, you got a pretty normal bucket in there, as you would expect. One last look at the interior. It's a pretty nicely laid out interior. Feels pretty good for being mainly vinyl and plastic. However, it's really not too bad of a place to be. You can also see a lighter color for the headliner, the sunshade, then all of your dome lights up above that with a frameless mirror. And then moving to the rear seat space, if I grab the door handle and open it up, door panel is finished off just like we saw up front. However, we also get our rear heated seat control, and then the rear seats are finished in the same material. You got the perforated vinyl in the center, and then all the black trim surrounding it. You get black on the backs of the seats, along with some cargo areas, and you even get a USB port. There are air vents in here as well, and then if you go ahead and grab these handles, we can pull the seat down, and it's gonna fold nice and flat to give you more entrance area into the cargo area. All right, so sitting in the back of the Niro, so this is a pretty small size crossover. At 5'11", I have pretty good headroom, actually, a couple inches above my head. Pretty good armrest on the left side, and then in the center, you also get this that'll pop out for 2 cup holders along with your armrests. So not too bad overall. Now the seats don't recline at all. They're kind of straight up for my taste. The bases are pretty decent. You get pretty good legroom and footroom with the driver's seat set at my height. So it's not too bad back here. It's a little on the small side. You definitely know you're in a small crossover. However, for maybe putting kids in the back or just people in a pinch, it is certainly a usable vehicle. And then moving on to the cargo area, if I just hold down the button on the key fob, the lift gate is going to automatically pop open. We do get a button on the back as well. In here, it's pretty squared off, so you have a pretty decent amount of cargo area. Got a nice flat floor, and you can see how the fender arches aren't really in the way, and this kind of cuts out a little bit more. So if we grab those handles like we already showed, we can then push these easily forward from the back here. They're gonna fold nice and flat to really maximize cargo area. So while this is a smaller vehicle, I think it's sized really well, at least, to be super practical for people along with cargo. All right, so we are setting off now in the Niro EV in sport mode. You get just a little bit of torque steer. Being a front wheel drive vehicle, it's really not all too fast. Every other electric car I've driven in, they seem to be like really performance focused. This is definitely more of the economical baby electric car. You know, of course you can get the EV6, which is Kia's bigger version of what the Niro EV is gonna be. So this isn't all too fast in sport mode. I mean, obviously 7 seconds 0 to 60 and not all too impressive. However, it's peppy enough. I mean, we're getting up to speed 40 to 60, you know, just like that. So it's a nice, just kind of normal crossover to drive, I'd say. Visibility is really good, you know, huge glass windows and visibility over your shoulders. But honestly, really no complaints. It just kind of feels like a normal vehicle. The wind noise and road noise, I am shocked how nice and insulated it would be. The Niro in general is kind of more of their economy crossover. It's nothing too fancy. And this one feels pretty solid and feels like a pretty nicely built vehicle. You do hear some wind noise. It's kind of windy out today, so you can hear some of that. However, it's actually pretty insulated and quiet and comfortable. Suspension's really soft, and it feels like a planted vehicle. Being an electric car, you know, you got those heavy batteries way down low, keeps that center of gravity pretty low, and honestly, it kind of helps with stability. You know, these don't really shake all over the place. So it's nice to be in this to where it just feels pretty normal. The seats are nice and comfortable to be in. Everything's easy to use, easy to reach. Armrests are in a good place. So it's a nice normal crossover, honestly, just to cruise around, do your day-to-day stuffing. Really have no complaints with the normal driving. The braking system and the regenerative braking, I think I really like. You know, you can put it all the way up to the max, where when you take your foot off the throttle, we're slowing down and it's recharging a little bit. I kind of like it closer to 0, just to give it a little bit of resistance, but I like how you're able to adjust that. So it feels like a normal car to drive. There's nothing too crazy about it. And with the drive mode, it's nice to get that little extra push with sport mode. I mean, it certainly does add an extra little punch, but we're talking about less than 200 pound-feet of torque, so it's nothing like an EV6 is gonna give you, but it's a good enough power blend. Now, eco mode itself, I would not drive in. It seems really, really slow if you're gonna be pulling out into traffic. I mean, I'm giving it half throttle, full throttle actually now, and finally we're starting to move. So normal mode, I seem to drive this in generally. It just feels pretty good. And then sport mode, if you gotta do a quick pass or get up to speed quickly, it gives you just enough power. So then spinning around to my perspective, back in normal mode, just cruising in the Niro EV. Like I said, it kind of just seems like a nice normal crossover. When you're cruising around town in it, there's nothing all too out of the ordinary with this. I know EVs are still pretty new. It could be intimidating getting into a fully electric car. This definitely tones it down to just feel like your typical crossover with the modern Kia stuff. You know, Kia's come a long way, especially the last 10 years, and I think anything after 2020, they've really been hitting the nail on the head with a lot of their cars. Feels really solid as we hit train tracks. I mean, really no loose ends. It feels like a nice to drive crossover. Price point, you know, you're pushing $50,000 out the door, which is right in line with an EV6. The EV6, you're gonna get a lot more space to it, all-wheel drive, more power. So I feel like the EV6 is a really competitive vehicle. This one seems to be almost up there in price point and you get the front wheel drive and not really all that fast. So I'd be curious to see what would make people pick this over an EV6. I guess if you do want to tone it down, you don't need the wind trim level, you can tone it down a little bit more to be lower $40,000 mark. But I feel like it's just a kind of well-rounded, smaller size if you just don't need the extra space. The range is decent, you know, you're not going to get over 300 on this just because everything's a little smaller, smaller motors, smaller batteries, so the range is only going to be so good. However, with the fast charging and stuff, not really too inconvenient for an electric car. So I like the overall idea of this. I think it's a good sized vehicle, and just the ride quality is what's really impressive. You know, we're going 50 miles an hour, really comfortable, quiet, you know, all sorts of good seating positions and everything. I mean, it's a nice place to be in, just a nice daily commuter, something like that. And I like how, at least with sport mode, gives you enough juice just to get up to speed a little bit, and that was like 40 to 60. Interior technology is just like any modern Kia, which I think works great. The lane keeping, the forward collision, all this smart cruise control stuff, it works so well. You can honestly drive any of these modern Kias with your hands off the wheel and pretty much let it do the autonomous driving. So it's really cool, especially on the highway, that's when it shines. So it seems like just a good city car, however, still good on the highway, just kind of a good blend of everything. Just at the price point, you know, you're getting pretty competitive, nearly $50,000. So it'd be interesting to see what other people would pick aside from this car. However, I don't think you can go wrong. I think for EVs, obviously they're more expensive than the gas alternative, significantly more, quite honestly. But it's nice to know that you're still getting a pretty good vehicle at the end of the day. It doesn't feel like just an economy electric car. It feels like a nice vehicle overall with a lot to offer. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you all in the next video.